The Bayesian sailing yacht that sank near the coast of Sicily took the lives of 7 people. This included tech entrepreneur Michael Lynch and his teenage daughter Hannah. Was the incident a tragedy, or was it a premeditated act? As far as sabotages go, one can guess important people were involved in it. Join us as we take a deep look into this tragedy and the individuals who could potentially be connected to it. The Italian coast, a breathtaking view, became the backdrop of a horrific tragedy. A shipwreck resulted in the death of 7 people, among whom were Michael Lynch, a British technologist, and Jonathan Bloomer, director at Morgan Stanley International. Other people who were named by rescue teams as missing include his wife, Judith Bloomer, his lawyer, Christopher Morvillo, and his wife, Nada Morvillo. Angela Baccaris, the wife of Mr. Lynch, was among the survivors. The magnificent 246-foot aluminium luxury Bayesian Yacht, one of the largest sailboats in the world, now rests at the bottom of the water at 50 meters off the coast of Porticello, Sicily. Before the ship went under, the tracking system showed that the boat was already struggling against the storm. Eventually, the yacht sank to a depth of 49 meters. The Lynch, Baccaris party and other passengers headed to a seemingly harmless trip on the coast of Italy. They were clueless about the arrival of a storm which would turn into an extraordinary disaster. This incident would turn their luxurious vacation into a fatal experience. Within a span of less than a minute, the yacht flipped over, which drowned 6 of the passengers and 1 crew member. The 15 survivors were Angela Baccaris and 5 guests, Captain James Cutfield, and 8 other members of the crew. Italian authorities said that they are eager to focus on Captain James Cutfield, asking the UK Maritime and Coast Guard Agency to investigate his actions. Actions that have led to 7 deaths, with possible manslaughter charges for those linked to it. Could this be a case of negligence? Were hatches left open halfway to condemn the occupants on board? The investigation will be a pretty lengthy one, but seeing that usual precautions were neglected, one can't help but think that it may have been done on purpose. The Bayesian, a luxury yacht dubbed after a mathematical theory and previously a source of pride to its owners, is now an object of legal investigation. The ship will be lifted from the waters later in the year. Subsequently, this would be good news for both the Italian prosecutors and the public in finally setting the record straight. Until then, there are questions that make us all wonder. What happened on that fateful night? Police officials in Palermo plan to retrieve videos and photos recorded from the surrounding areas, as well as from other security cameras installed in the area. The prosecutors have successfully interviewed the yacht captain James Cutfield in a detailed manner. In the long course of the questioning, Cutfield narrated the incident, saying that it happened within a few minutes, as reported by the Mirror. The storm's intensity with which it struck the boat confirms this theory. Many of the individuals who were involved in this shipwreck have connections with several notorious individuals, and that does give a completely different angle on whether or not this was really an accident. Mike Lynch, the tech entrepreneur who is behind Dark Trace, always remains in the limelight about the fraud charges related to the sale of his former company, Autonomy, to Hewlett-Packard. However, we should notice that Dark Trace, which Lynch founded, is more than a tech startup. Its advanced artificial intelligence-based security system can proactively stop cyber attacks. Cyber security firm? There's more. Take a look at the board of directors. Bruce Lord Evans of Weardale, former chief of the British Security Service, MI5, and CIA veteran Alan Wade are some of the people that are part of this story. These are not just names, they signify that Dark Trace belongs to the world of intelligence. It's also interesting to know that Dark Trace was founded in 2012, although it now operates as a global firm. This is the time Dave Palmer, a former MI5 agent, ventured into working with Cambridge mathematicians to enhance the communication technology for its agents. Alan Wade is co-founder of Chiliad and has a connection with Christine Maxwell, sister of Ghislaine Maxwell. Ghislaine Maxwell, as you might know, was friends with Jeffrey Epstein. Having connections with Mossad, Epstein was not only a criminal, but a man involved in an espionage operation to control important personalities. Now, it doesn't come as a surprise how all these links lead to Dark Trace. The official stories that have been told about the Bayesian disaster might be simple, but many think there's more than meets the eye. A geologist and commentator, Marco Tozzi, offered his opinion on the tragedy and assumed that climate change could have contributed to it, though it has not been warmly welcomed. When it comes to Epstein, there is more of him that is part of this scenario than what we can see. Just a day before he could fly from Paris to New York in the month of July 2019 for the last time, Jeffrey called his younger brother Mark. Although they spoke occasionally since the demise of their mother 15 years prior to the events of Epstein's death, this was the final time they spoke to each other. When Epstein disembarked from his plane in New Jersey, he had little idea of what was to come. Epstein thought that his 2007 non-jail plea bargain, which was arranged by the U.S. Attorney Alex Acosta, made him immune to federal charges. But less than a month later, Epstein was found dead in his Manhattan jail cell in what was characterized as suicide. The mystery is alive because of Epstein and his connections with powerful people, Ghislaine Maxwell's conviction, and the unsealing of thousands of new court files. For Mark Epstein, however, the manner of his brother's death is a vital issue that has not been solved yet. Although Epstein has already paid $150 million to the victims who were on the receiving end of his sexual misconduct, that's not the whole story. Of course, the unsealing of records related to Virginia Giuffre's 2017 defamation suit against Ghislaine Maxwell served to reopen old wounds and bring the reputations of the likes of Bill Clinton and Prince Andrew down along with it. But this was not only about dishonored names. It resurrected interest in the life of Jeffrey Epstein, and even more so in his rather doubtful death. Mark Epstein has the feeling someone else could have sneaked into his brother's cell that night, intending to kill his brother. Gossip about the prison has made him understand that not all the cell doors were locked, and interestingly, the only camera that was pointed towards Epstein's cell was switched off that night. Questions have been asked, suspicions have been raised, and they still exist to date. This Jeffrey Epstein subculture is an accumulation of many layers where it is easy to get lost with more questions and answers or research topics than conspiracy theories. The questions remain unanswered, the suspicions keep rising, and the search goes on. Makers of the Bayesian said that the boat was unsinkable. Now that it sank, they claim that it is the crew's fault. James Cutfield, the captain of the Bayesian superyacht, is under investigation for possible manslaughter and culpable shipwreck charges. At the moment, he is exercising his right to remain silent, declining to answer prosecutors' questions. How did a 56-meter superyacht with a 75-meter aluminium mainmast, the tallest in the world, which experts said was built to withstand wind, lightning and walls of water, sink in just a few minutes? Furthermore, it remains a mystery why the SOS rocket was launched at 4:38, 32 minutes after the sinking, and almost an hour after the start of the bad weather that was causing difficulties for the yacht. Something that experts are convinced could never have happened if there had not been errors in the management of the emergency. Divers who went down to inspect the wreck found the mast in place, all 75 meters high. Not only that, the vessel is intact. The hull has no leaks, at least in its visible part. The hatches are closed, the windows are intact. So, what caused the Bayesian to sink? We hope you enjoyed putting together the pieces of this mysterious puzzle. Stay tuned for more thrilling content. We'll see you in the next one.